wait. We're gonna have we're gonna have a billboard soon somewhere in Santa Clara County.
We should have.
It's gonna be like a scavenger hunt, and I think we're gonna have a little competition where if our listeners find the billboard, take a picture, post it, tag us, they'll be entered into a drawing for a $500 Amazon gift card.
I love it.
Please do this at a stop sign, because if we see the photo taken while you're driving, you're disqualified.
Well, if you get into an accident, we're not liable. But look for that coming in the end of August as well. So Absolutely. We're having fun out
here. It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find.
Welcome to Unlocking Silicon Valley. Hey. We got the three musketeers today, three amigos. But I'm excited because I can't remember the last time I was actually on a podcast.
You've been gone and traveling.
Yeah, been MIA, and I did the seller interview at BlackBerry while my backyard was catching fire.
That's right.
But I didn't say for the podcast.
Yeah. But I have to say, I know you've been traveling a lot, but I know you've been doing a lot of business while you've been traveling too.
Absolutely, so. and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the deals that we put together last week. Cool. But I figure, because we're in the dog days of summer, I'm going to start with stats. And so I'm going to combine single-family homes, condos, townhomes. Right now, we have 1,333 combined, right? So that's probably the most we've had all year. And even though things are slowing down, in fact, an article came out today, in Santa Clara County, 43% of all active listings have been on the market 30 days or longer.
Yeah.
So about 50%, right? Which is what we tend to see this time of year. That said, out of the 1,333 homes that are active, we've got 990 pending. So still only about a month and a half worth of inventory.
Right.
So certainly I think the the buying fever or frenzy is slowing down a little bit.
Well, it's interesting. I think what the listeners need to know is depending on location, right? I mean, we had somebody today mention a property they had over by Apple, right? And they were just like multiple offers coming in 22. So again, I just caution agents and the consumer, don't get caught up when we hear stuff like this, that it's going to be, because we still have microclimates, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we talked about last week with Gunner. Was on the market for 3 weeks, had a lot of offers, or had a lot of people coming through, just no offers, compared to Camden, which is in the same zip code, smaller home, more of a first-time home buyer price point, but it's popped off a lot quicker.
Yeah. Both Mark and I, we had 3 listings last week that had all been on the market 30 days or more. And within 48 hours, we sold all 3.
So it was August 1st, baby. That was it.
I'm not sure if you noticed kind of what happened in those kind of sector markets once yours went pending, but like with the Gunner one, I said, I think last week there was 13 other properties above that 2 million mark that were sitting there. Right when we went pending, 3 others went pending.
Yeah.
And, I reminded my client, it's better to lead in that situation than to follow, because once we 100%. Go pending, everyone's going to start working off of it. And that's where those, so I don't know if it was like the same in your area.
Yeah, and kind of interesting, too, to see where we go from here, because, from today and if we look back a week when you guys did the last podcast, a lot's changed. Stock market took a nosedive. It's rebounding, today, but market took a nosedive. Kamala Harris picked her VP today, right? And now it's full speed into the elections that are less than 90 days away.
What I love about being in these wonderful historic times is the story changes depending on who you talk to or what news channel you watch.
Sure.
Right? I mean, it's either doom and gloom or it's the best thing ever, right? We're looking forward, they're looking backwards. And it just, the challenge I have in today's world, you can create your own story no matter how you want it to go, right? I mean, you can sit there and say, oh, wow, that's the most amount of inventory we've had. Buyers are picking up stuff. Or you can say, hey, we're still historically lows, and buyers, it just...
Yeah, you can do a search in Instagram or TikTok, and you could put into Instagram, best time to buy a home, and then you will get flooded with stories and reels about why it's the best time. You go to TikTok and say worst time to buy a home, and you'll get all that. Right? So it at the end of the day, there are the micro economies, and then there's really what buyers and sellers need. What's going on in their lives.
And I'll tell you, that's what I love about our podcast and what we do, is because we are in the trenches every single day. We're not somebody who used to sell years ago, and now we have this podcast where we're just giving you information. We're telling you from the trenches, right?
Yep.
One of the things that you were mentioning that kind of happened this week, obviously interest rates have come down, but how that story is kind of framed. Obviously, they've gone down. It's great. There are certain stories out there where interest rates have hit 5.5%, small lettering underneath. You need X amount of money invested in this company if you want to get it.
Sure, relationship financing.
Yeah. Right. So again, it's what you see. Obviously, to get that truthful information, come to us. We'll let you know what's going on. Because again, a lot of these can be taken in different angles, depending on if you're a first-time home buyer, if you're someone who has that money in the company already that you're investing in, depending on what you're putting down. So it all depends. And
I love that, 2 down days on the market. Now, granted, they were pretty significant. Everyone's talking about a global recession.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of buyers may think, oh, well, then I'm going to wait to buy. But if you look back at the last 6 recessions, 4 out of the 6, home prices actually went up during those recessions.
Yeah, I think where I start getting nervous is where you start looking at certain facts, right? I mean, like where our deficit is. I mean, we've increased more. I mean, it took us, I think, 40 years to get to an $11 trillion deficit, and now we're at $22 trillion, and it only took us about 3 years to double that. And COVID, I'm sure, was a big part of it, right? Yeah. But, to sit there and say we got a $22 trillion deficit where we're spending more in interest on those bonds than on Medicare. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And then you couple that with auto loan defaults are at a near all-time high. Consumer debt and the amount of credit card debt consumers are carrying is at a high, right? So there are a lot of factors at play, both here nationally and worldwide. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of recession, over the next 6 to 16 months.
Again, we live in a very fortunate area where, we're recession resilient, not recession proof, but there's still so much money in this area that I think it's more of the mental holdback that buyers will see.
100%. And it's like, I know when you and I are sitting across the table from sellers and they're like, well, we want this for our home. And we're explaining to them that, minus the little COVID blip that we have, we've been on like a 13-year appreciation 100%. Tear, and it can't last forever. And
it cycles. I mean, the interesting thing we have, you and I have several listings that we've taken on that other agents have had them, right? And what we educate I think it just goes to more the point of where a seller and their agent have to be realistic with that pricing coming out the gate. Because there's so many times that we'll see a seller with another agent just pick a number out there. Yeah. Agent doesn't, in my opinion, fully educate them on what happens in that situation. And you and I know if they would have priced it right to begin with, they would have probably, we know they would have gotten more money for it than when we step into the picture.
Absolutely. Right? And I think the other mistake that sellers make is they look back, even in our market, just 90 days. Yeah. Right. Like you've mentioned this a lot. Our market can turn on a dime. 100%. And we saw that coming out of May and into June. Yeah. And so sellers still, want to do March, April pricing, and that market's gone.
With that being said, I think that example where, with as soon as August hit, we put 3 listings in escrow that had been sitting there for almost 30, 60 days, right? 45, 60 days. That gave me a little trusting or hope that as we've seen in our years of business that, hey, June and July, agents go take a vacation. We should take those vacations and just tell our client we're not going to list till August. Yeah. Because I believe this was a seasonal slowdown. Now, there's a lot more to unpack, but I think currently in our market locally, it was a seasonal slowdown. Buyers are coming back in the game. Yeah. Great. I mean, all it does for me is just show me that the summertime is a great time to buy for buyers.
Yeah, this was a unique summer too. School got out at the regular time.
Hell, man.
It was hot summer.
They got out at the regular time in the district, but then they started 3 weeks earlier this year. So again, they start tomorrow.
Do they really?
August 7th. They start.
Okay.
Yeah. So
7th,
again,
13th.
a lot of the people who were, waiting to do their final travels towards like the beginning of August, going into the end of August school year, everyone just crammed it in. It was the shortest summer we've had ever. So I think a lot of that had to do with a lot of people traveling. I think this will kind of, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think June and July are completely slow months, but I think over the next few years as school starts to get out a little earlier, I mean, they're going to get out now in May. So this is all going to adjust just a little bit,
And speaking of August, it's the highly anticipated August 17th deadline where we enact the New World of Real Estate Commissions.
See the size of our new contracts now?
These are actual size contracts.
These are actual size.
These are here, I'll just hold one up. These are actual size contracts. No, these are printed out because Mark has actually been leading our office and teaching these new forms. And so when we talk about who you work with matters, I'm going to do a whole video series on kind of simplifying all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, these changes are nationwide. They affect every agent that does real estate, that is part of the National Association of Realtors. But the bottom line is you need an agent that can understand, interpret contracts, and negotiate on your behalf. And I feel, I think that's what fires us up in our business, is that we feel we exceed in those two areas.
Absolutely.
So I look forward to the changes.
I do too.
You've taught 3 of these classes now and have had 60 to 80 people in every class. And there's a lot of fear from these agents, but what I find is most of that fear comes from lack of experience.
100%. I think you and I just said that at lunch, right? Yeah. The agents that will thrive through this will be the brand new agents, because they don't know any difference, and the highly experienced agents. Yep. The agents that are in the middle are going to be challenged with it, right? Because they've been challenged with getting their businesses off the ground, going anywhere anyways. Where to me, it's our goal is to simplify this as much as we can for our own business practices and our clients. And I believe that we're doing that. We're narrowing it down. At the end of the day, this is only a change on how we get paid. Right. The process of buying or selling a house and getting our clients the best property they can isn't changing. Correct. So it's really how does our industry, how do we navigate it as professionals? I think sellers are winning in this situation. I think buyers can if they work it the right way, and who they work with matters. If they pick the right agent that they work with it. Yep. But I welcome the changes. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, me too. I will do a quick 60 seconds, Jacob, on just one form. After August 17th, when a buyer walks into an open house, there's going to be a sign-in sheet. Hopefully the agent uses the one that was approved by the California Association of Realtors. But basically, it is the open house visitor, non-agency disclosure and sign-in. Long message for saying it's a sign-in sheet. If there's no sign-in sheet at an open house that you walk into after August 17th, do not let that agent represent you, because they're not doing the bare minimum that's required throughout the nation, not just here locally in our MLS. This is a requirement now. So if you walk into an open house, there is not a sign-in sheet that looks like this, then don't engage with that agent. Go find yourself somebody who understands at a bare minimum the new forms that we have to use. Yep. That's my open house tip of the week.
Nice. I'll tell you the other thing with these forms too, that just like sellers have to have a listing agent, now buyers have to have a buyer-broker agreement, right? It could be non-exclusive. In fact, it defaults to non-exclusive. But one way or the other, to work with an agent or an agent to be able to work with a buyer, you need a buyer-broker agreement now. It's the same as having a listing contract.
Yeah. So gone is the days where a buyer could click a button online and get an agent to open up a door for them without any paperwork being signed, right? And again, if an agent offers to show you a house without signing any paperwork, run, don't walk, because that agent, one, they're not ethical because they're not doing it, as we are now required to do, and will be fined if we don't comply. So if they're already cutting corners, and is that desperate to try to just make an interaction with the client, imagine what they're going to do to you on the rest of the transaction.
Yep. Cool.
I'm off my soapbox now.
There you go. Yeah, I like this in the way that it comes down to where the seller doesn't have to offer up the commission. Basically what it is. Right? They don't have to offer up the commission anymore. You're basically going to hire a listing agent to sell your home for you, and then everything's 100% negotiable. Even the listing agent commission is negotiable. But at that point, you can leave it very flexible, where you either say, I'm not paying any concession, the buyer's going to do it themselves, or what we recommend. Listen, we still recommend, in this world where right now we're seeing 2 to 2.5% co-op compensation being offered out there in the world, to be competitive, right? To still offer that. But if a seller doesn't want to do that and they understand all the risk by doing that, then we simply just put a comment in the private remarks that seller is willing to offer a buyer's concession subject to negotiations, and that kind of leaves it open.
Exactly. It just means that buyer's agents have to negotiate their own commissions, whether it's with the buyers themselves or with the owner of the home, just like we have to negotiate our commissions when we list a property.
And the other biggest change is that no longer on MLS, which I don't think was a consumer-based, I don't think the consumer had transparency in it anyways, but no longer for agents do we list the commission co-op on the MLS.
Yeah, but no, and ultimately, this lawsuit was enacted in theory to help consumers, which by way of that meaning the buyers, but by no means is it helping buyers out at this point. It's helping sellers and listing agents. Let's be honest.
I've said this time and time again. It's supposed to create a transparency. There is no transparency here, and I think unethical agents are going to do more double ending, and it's going to cause more issues as they go through. I can only hope and trust that this will continue to evolve to a better place. But right now, I think you made the comment, it's Wild West to a certain degree.
At least the next 9 to 12 months, it's going to be Wild West, right? Yeah. Because there is a lot of confusion, and there are people that will prey on that confusion.
Right.
And again, the buyers are going to be the ones that are going to lose out on that. Yeah. So more to come.
And what I love that we've done with our team is we've simplified this process in a very easy way to articulate it to our clients, both sellers and buyers. And to their agents coming in too.
Yeah. So remind me, how many new and updated forms are now a result of this just for the state of California?
As a total amount of forms, there's been almost 100, right? Specifically to this issue, I think it's 32.
Yeah.
28 to 32.
Yeah. The purchase contract now is 17 pages.
I know.
Not including the buyer broker agreement.
Crazy.
Just to buy a house.
I made the comment in the class today that. In our day, remember, anything you want, you just write down an addendum and it's done, right? Here's what it is. Buyer and seller agree to this, and that's it. Now it's like there's a form for every single situation, and it's up to the agents to know which form. I mean, there's literally 4 different modification of a listing agreement forms, and based off of if the seller is going to continue to offer commission, if they're not going to offer commission, if the buyer's paying it. I mean, it's. I honestly think it's too much. But again, it levels out our business and ensures that for the agents or the clients who get those agents who understand all these forms, they're dealing with true professionals like ours,
right?
Like our team.
And I know this will never happen, but my ultimate dream is that they make it harder to get real estate licenses.
100%.
I mean, it is the bar is so low, and there's so much at stake. I mean, there's 50 pages here of new contractual, documentation.
And yet you don't have to have a legal degree to go through these contracts at all, right?
Yeah.
With as complicated as are. This isn't like just selling a car.
Yeah.
Where you got just one, 30-inch contract.
Right. And, the average price of a home in our valley is right around $2 million. So.
And that's where I love. We can talk about this all day long. That's where it's like, I'm going to go ahead and let my sister's daughter, my niece, my niece or nephew, because they just got their real estate license. Really, you're going to trust the highest valued asset you have to somebody who just got their license?
I know.
Come on.
Yeah.
I have to admit, those days get a little frustrated when you're going in on those listings, and we all know about that. Where it's like I got to justify my 35 years of experience to somebody who's interviewing the neighbor next door's kid who just got their license. It's like, come on, guys. Who you work with matters.
Yeah, there's too much at stake, now more than ever when it comes to buying and selling a home, right? So, there you go. And I think that's why clients continue to trust us, because they understand that we're on the 100%. Forefront of that. And in a market where, 2024, this year, a lot of agents are freaking the out, their business is down, right? I mean, they are.
The bleep out.
Yeah, but because they're scared of something new,
right?
Where we embrace it, and we're actually selling more this year than we did last year.
Well, and David, we're always on the cutting edge of this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we know about these coming out before any agent on the street does.
Yeah.
I mean, just because how our office is connected, how we're connected, it's really a benefit that we have. Are you sitting here? I think you got
no. I think the only thing I wanted to add to everything that you said is not only are the agents who are freaking out or the lack of experience, but I think it's the lack of confidence as well. I think
100%.
If you don't have the confidence to go over and speak to your buyer face to face, if you don't have the confidence to call that other agent and ask them what their commission is, that's where it really starts to, I think, to affect those agents, is if they're not prone to stepping out of their comfort zone.
It's so funny.
It's going to come back and haunt them.
When I was a managing broker, and Dave, you can relate to this, and you have an agent come in and they're questioning the contract or something in a transaction. It's like, have you read the contract yet? Go to paragraph 9B and tell me what it says. Oh, that's what it says. Yeah, you might want to read those things a little bit.
Yeah, I think just kind of close it out. I mean, change excites me, especially in our 100%. Industry. Because
that's why we got in it, right?
Yeah, because we know that there's all these agents on the sidelines that are scared.
David, he's just came back from vacation. He's ready to roll.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, they're for a lot of people in general, but specifically as it relates to real estate agents, change freaks them out.
100%.
Right? Because let's be honest, most real estate agents are lazy.
I like
So
that.
it's status quo, right? It's like,
That's right.
yeah, you know,
Don't rock the boat.
they can make a good commission without even having to read the entire contract or being able to explain it to a consumer.
Yeah.
So now this change that has freaked all of them out, I think, has really excited us as a team because we know that we're going to be able to take a larger share of the market because of our ability to interpret contracts and to negotiate deals.
100%. So you had mentioned we're in August and we're all about fun as well as working.
We
right?
work
We got
hard,
a lot
play
of stuff
hard.
going. We've got our music in the park on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Those are great.
yeah,
We're bringing
5
food
to
in
7.
now.
Yeah,
Right?
5 to 7
We have
every
2 more
Sunday.
left, right?
3 more left,
more. 3
actually.
more left.
And if you haven't come out yet, definitely come and stop by. We have a new food partner every time. The tent, I feel like, just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
And
Then we
the
got
people just keep coming.
Jazz in the Plaza. I
Yep,
think we
which
only
is
have
the
one
one-
booth there.
yeah,
on the
August
21st.
21st.
August 21st. We've got our casino night.
September 6th at La Rinconada Country Club starts at 5:30.
I love that you have all these
that is
places.
always that is our favorite event of the year. We have 6 or 8 different tables from roulette to craps to blackjack, food, photo booth.
You weren't here the other day. We were talking about war. There were some other movies we were going to replace and put in war.
Yeah.
We just had an incredible movie night, right?
Deadpool 3, our best attended movie night, great movie, and we'll get into the fall season and we'll have some family friendly ones too. So yeah, no, I think we're good. It's good to be back with you guys here on the podcast, and it's going to be an exciting rest of the summer, rest of the year.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, take care. Give us a call.
See you.
Bye-bye.